Dr. Michael Page is the AMA president. He joins me now. Thanks for your time, Michael.
Good morning, Gary.
Now, look, you are aware, I know, of a page of this document that we forwarded to you so that you could have a look at the concise points that are being made. What's your reaction?
Oh, look, it's extraordinary, Gary. There's no amount of whitewashing or minimising that the government is going to be able to do to make this draft report go away. If it kills the report before it gets a chance to go to the CARS executive or the CARS board for endorsement, then it basically just says that they do not value the opinions of the body of clinicians who work with the sickest children in Western Australia. The fact is, this is not some minority. This is not a minority report, Gary. This is the considered views of clinicians who work in the state's only tertiary, quaternary, top-level service for sick children. They've made their views extremely clear. It has, in fact, been endorsed by a number of, officially constituted groups within CARS, even if not by its executive or board yet. So for it to then not endorse this report, if that were what were to unfold, that would absolutely destroy the relationship between clinicians and management, a relationship that is already difficult. The relationship between clinicians and government is obviously difficult since that announcement caught the entire medical community offside 6 months ago. So look, it is extraordinary, Gary, and I hope that the report, even if it's in its draft form, can see the light of day, because I think that the public deserves to know what the views of clinicians are who work with these very sick children.
In the report, they make a point that if this is to go ahead in the way that it's being planned, WA, supposedly with its gold standard health service, will be the only state in the country that has the Women and Babies Hospital 20 kilometres away from its tertiary and, of course, the Perth Children's Hospital as well. What do you say to that?
Correct, Gary. Yeah, we've been saying that for months now. That's a point that we've been making loud and clear, that every other state and territory in Australia has tri-located tertiary obstetric, neonatal, and adult medical services, which is the only way that you can declare your women's and babies hospital to be of world class, if it is located with those tertiary level services. If it's not, it is not world class. That is world's best practice. That's what every other state and territory government deemed its constituents, its population, its people, its patients worthy of. And it seems at the moment our government has not deemed our people worthy of. But look, we remain somewhat open-minded to the fact that another official report is due within 1 to 2 weeks to be publicly available, and that is the official report of clinical consultation that's been run at a health department level. If its findings are vastly different from the CARS draft report and from what we know from clinical staff associations around the state, then we will know that the report has been politically tampered with. I have no reason to believe that the process or the individuals involved in creating that report will do anything other than their best. But if it doesn't gel with what we know from today's or yesterday's leaked draft report and what we know from talking to clinicians every day, then we will know that the process has become politicised. So we expect an open and transparent. What we know, Gary, is that clinicians are generally very afraid to speak up because they fear for their jobs if they speak up about clinical risks. But the depth of feeling on this one is greater than anything I've seen in recent years.
Okay, so the people who would have been consulted and come up with a consensus to present this position paper, I mean, I can see clearly the name of Dr. Elizabeth Croston, Chair of the Child and Adolescent Health Service Clinical Staff Association, Specialist Paediatric Intensive Care Medicine at Perth Children's Hospital. I mean, what sort of calibre of people are we talking about?
We are talking about the top this is the tertiary quaternary paediatric hospital for Perth. Now, we've got excellent paediatricians, excellent doctors who work with children all over the state. We have a very high standard of medical training and medical care in Western Australia, but this is the service this is the tertiary quaternary service. So it has the access to the most advanced medical techniques, treatments, and so forth. So, we're not talking about some
a few unhappy doctors, because that's what's been suggested.
Look, we get this sort of gaslighting there's a range of views on this issue. Well, there's a range of views on anything, Gary, but here we've got a clear consensus from the experts whose views must be heeded. This is not a few disgruntled people. This is not a few people with an axe to grind. This is the state's top paediatric clinicians.
So this will have to go to a board. They can't run away from it. It's got to go to the CAST board. At the moment, it's not endorsed by the board or the executive. They've said that in the statement. They'll continue to work with the state government and the project team. So are we suggesting that no one who would be part of the this position statement would also be part of a project team in terms of implementing the new Women's and Babies Hospital down in Murdoch? I mean, it sort of doesn't sound right. But
yeah, no, it doesn't sound right. You've only got so many experts available in the state, so clearly the clinicians who will be involved in planning the clinical the clinical framework for the new hospital, wherever that ends up being, will be the same people who had input into this report. Will be the same people who signed a letter sent to the Director General of Health expressing the same concerns. They're the same individuals. Yeah, very likely to be a lot of crossover.
So,
and that's why they need to be kept on side. If this is to be successful, the clinicians have to be listened to. If they are repeatedly gaslit, repeatedly not listened to, the project simply won't be successful.
It seems like a no-brainer to me that you've got to bring people with you when it comes to major reforms like this and major decisions around something so sensitive and emotive as a women's and babies hospital. If you don't have the soldiers marching in the same direction, then it's game over.
I agree.
Let me just put to you what the Health Minister has come back with. She's not available to speak to us, but we have got a statement. And it says this: pushing ahead with the QE2 Medical Centre site would have been irresponsible and resulted in at least 10 years of unacceptable disruptions for patients and staff at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital, Perth Children's Hospital. So is it the lesser of two evils to go down to Murdoch?
Oh, that's not a resolved question. I think there's delays and there's clinical risk. I think the clinical risks need to be considered absolutely at the paramount of the decision-making process here. We're talking about a process. We're talking about a project that should serve Western Australians for the next at least 50 years. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about something that can quickly be changed. So, I think we need to really consider the clinical side first and foremost here, and then work out the infrastructure around it. And again, our position's been very clear all along on this, Gary, and that is that we need these services located together, whether that's in Murdoch, Nedlands, or some other place. But clearly, those are the two most likely sites, provided that those services are together.
All right. Well, as I said, the whole argument around this has just got a whole lot more complicated. So we'll wait and see how it plays out from here. I appreciate you joining us today.
You're welcome.